Okay, here we are again. This is part 2 of the game. The last move we saw was rook c3, and I was just telling you that my rook on a1 is now a passive rook, and he has a very active rook on c3. So actually this endgame is slightly better for black. I'll show you how it continued. King to f3, king e6, and now I play rook a2. Now the idea of rook a2 was to defend the g2 pawn, so I could be able to play king to g4, and after rook takes e3, then take on g5 without being afraid of rook to g3 attacking my king and my pawn. So now the pawn is defended. So that's the reason why I played rook to a2. He played king to e5, and now I went on with this idea of king to g4. And well, actually there was a better plan. Again, actually this is something that I'm learning from this game. Again, the correct plan was to activate my rook by playing rook to d2. If he then takes on a3, rook d7. If he saves his b pawn by playing b5, then I can take on g7. He can defend the g pawn by king to f5, but then I can go with my rook to c7 attacking the c6 pawn. And if he defends this one, I can go into e7 attacking the a pawn. Now of course if he goes to a3 with the rook, I can play rook c7 again, and we have a repetition of the position. He can also try to play rook c4, but then I can take simply this one. And as you can see now, we have an ending where we both have an active rook, and that's actually the main let's say mistake in the ending that I made. I'll go back to the position in the game. After king e5, I played king to g4, trading this pawn for this one, but still not activating my rook. So what happened in the game is he took on e3, I took on g5, and now he walks with his king towards my rook. But still, of course, this was my plan. I have a majority now on the king side, so I can advance my own pawns. King c4, g4, king d3 attacking my rook, and the rook goes to f2. Now he takes on a3, and I go with my rook to f7. Now I have activated my rook, but this has cost me more time. b5, saving the b pawn, h5. King takes b4, rook takes g7. So now I'm a pawn down, but my pawn on h5 is more advanced than his pawns. Here he played c5, and I continue with h6. At this point, it was very difficult to calculate all the variations because it's such a complicated endgame. Every single move can be a mistake. The mistakes in this kind of endings can be very subtle. He played c4, and here I made a strange decision. Actually, I couldn't find a way to avoid losing. I calculated h7, and I didn't find a way to stop his pawns. In many variations he could sacrifice his rook for my passed pawn and then have 3 pawns advancing on this side. What I decided to do is to avoid the move rook h3, and I wanted to avoid that by playing king to h4. He played c3, I played h7, and now he has rook a1. So actually this king to h4 didn't have much effect because he has rook to h1 check. But still, I played g5, he played c2, and now rook c7, the only move to stop his pawn. He gave the check on h1, and I went to g4, and now he took on h7. Of course I cannot take the rook because then he promotes with the c pawn, so I have to take on c4, and we get this ending, 2 pawns against 1. The main danger is that he will sacrifice his rook for my pawn and then advance with these 2 pawns on the queen side, and my king will be too far away. That's actually what happened in the game, but there was a moment that I could prevent it. a4, g6, this is still correct, rook to a7, and now I made the final mistake. During the game, this is extremely difficult to find how to hold this position a draw, but it is possible. I could only discover it by using my Fritz engine. And actually, what happened in the game is that I played the move rook to h2, and that's the wrong move. My idea was to play with ideas of rook h7 to try to advance my g pawn. I'll show you what happened in the game, and then I'll show the alternative that gives a draw. He plays a3, rook h7, rook a8, rook to h1, rook a2, a2, g7, rook g8. I defend my pawn, but then his king comes closer. I can give a check, and I have to go back to h1 to prevent this promoting, and then the other pawn comes. And if I play king to f7, that's what I did. He simply sacrifices his rook, and now these 2 pawns are unstoppable. I cannot stop these pawns. My king is simply too far away, and now at this position, of course, I had realized 2 moves before already that it was lost, but there is a psychological thing that made me make a few more moves before I could accept that that I had lost the game. So in this position I resigned. But let me go back to the position that I was showing before. Here, the last moves were g6, rook a7. And now I played rook h2, but if I had played rook g2, there is a difference that it's not very visible right now, but after a3, g7, if now he sacrifices his rook, the difference is that now my king is closer than in the variation that what happened in the game. So in this position I can hold the draw. I can go to defend this pawn, but then I can come closer with my king, and if king goes to b2, then king d4, and you see my king is very close to this pawn on b4. That means that promoting would not help him, because then I take on a1. After he takes back, I go with my king to c4 and take this pawn. And if he plays b4 here, I can play king c4. And if b5, then we already have a draw position. I can simply wait. There's nothing he can do. If he advances with this pawn, then I simply take it, take, and it's a draw. So actually this position is the one that I had to find, and I didn't. And it's such a subtle difference between rook to h2 or rook to g2. Rook to h2 is the losing move, and rook to g2 is the move that involves draw. But this is extremely difficult to find when you are playing. So this was the game. It's a very interesting and educative game for me, and well, unfortunately I didn't score any point here, but it was a very nice game, very interesting. Alright, thank you very much for watching these videos, and I'll see you next time on YouTube. Bye bye.